Heyo, Fincastle86 and the Big Cheese with 3 minutes of genealogy wisdom. Unsung resources. Every genealogist has their go-to resource. Usually that's the United States Census or other research tools that you can use on Ancestry.com. Makes things very easy, they're very fruitful, but then when they run out, they hit a brick wall. Well, there's all kinds of resources that genealogists forget to use sometimes, and I'm going to cover 3 of them. First of all, City Directories. Before we had telephones, did we have telephone books? Well, yeah, people still had a need for what we call yellow pages and white pages back before there were telephones. They just called them business directories or telephone directories. Now, if your ancestors were in a city or an urban area, like a large city, back before, say, the early 1900s, the 1800s, and in really big cities like New York City, the late 1700s, you might be able to find them in a city directory, especially if they were a business person. They had a place of business. Maybe they were a dentist, doctor, grocer, butcher, something like that, where they would want to advertise where they were and what their profession is. And what information you get is going to vary from directory to directory and from year to year. Sometimes you're just going to be able to get their occupation and their address. So you might get a map with, where their store was or where their home was. You might get a list of their family members. You might get all kinds of different things. So you never know what you're going to get. Search for it. FamilySearch.org is a good resource to start off with. USCityDirectories.com. There are all kinds of ways you can find them. Just Google for city directories and the location you're looking for, whatever city or county you're looking for. A lot of rural areas and smaller towns didn't have city directories going back to any length of time. Draft cards. I want to touch on draft cards because this is a cool resource that a lot of people forget about, but it is available on Ancestry.com Fold 3 and on some free sites like FamilySearch.org. Sometimes you can find the original image, the digitized image. Now, this is if you had a military-aged male in your ancestry around 1917, 1918 for World War I and 1940, 1941 for World War II. And you can find their name, you can find their birth date, where they were born, their spouse, their children, occupational information like where they worked. It's kind of a limited resource, but at least you can get some good government information, and this is a standardized resource that is very easy to find. It's standardized because it was done by the federal government, and it is easily accessible. So go out and find your ancestors if they were military age, that is 18 and up, during those time periods, during the World War time periods. Lastly, I want to touch on family history and local history societies. A lot of these societies are kind of defunct. So they may have existed at one point for smaller communities and smaller counties or towns, and nobody's answering the phones anymore. But a lot of them are still around, and some of them are actually pretty large, particularly for larger cities and certainly for states. Every state in the United States has a historical society, a genealogical society, and these guys and gals are very, very helpful if you just reach out to them. Sometimes it'll be for a fee. Sometimes they will be willing to do research for you. Sometimes they'll just point you in the right direction and they'll ask for a donation. They're really easy to find. Just go online, check out the Federation of Genealogical Societies, but you can also just do a search for, Texas Genealogical Societies and put the county that you're interested in. If you hit a brick wall and you don't know what resources to use to look for your ancestor, get in touch with a living, breathing local historian or genealogist in the area where your ancestor was from, and they might have, the in knowledge about some resources that only they would know about and you wouldn't be able to find out online. These might be county courthouse records. These might be tax records, court records, political records, all kinds of different things. You never know what you're going to find, but get in touch with these folks, especially if you hit a brick wall and you can't find more about your ancestors. But my vodka and sparkling water is losing its chill, so cheers.